Hey crew, I've got the key to that 22 Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing. We are going to take it for a drive, but first let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. The Blackwing gets unique grille inserts, top and bottom, and lots of functional ventilation here and at the corners. You got these LED DRLs that go all the way up into the headlights, which are LEDs. Cadillac crest in the middle, black gloss around for the grille. This one is painted in Summit White. In profile, we have a set of two-tone 19-inch alloy wheels. Now with standard, these are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, 275 section front and 305s in the rear. But this one has very much upgraded in high performance Toyo Proxy R888s, 285s in the front and 325s in the rear. From within those wheels, we can see the optionally equipped carbon ceramic brakes with the blue painted calipers. There's a V badge on the side, functional side curtain, black gloss lower sill to match the black window surrounds. Stepping back to look at the profile, the CT5 has a very nice dash to axle ratio, and the gentle taper of that roofline gives it that four-door coupe styling. At the rear, we have LED taillights within darkened housings. There's a body color matching spoiler, black gloss diffuser, and quad black tipped exhaust ports. The Blackwing is subtle about its strengths, but if you know where to look, you will definitely find them. Let's look at the interior. Opening up and looking inside, we have black leather seats with perforations, white piping, white contrast stitching. In fact, there's only one option on this interior, and that is the double sunroof. Otherwise, it's all standard. On the doors, we have injection molding, gloss carbon fiber trim, leather down here with white contrast stitching, harder plastics down low, one-touch up-down windows, and we have an AKG 15-speaker sound system, once again, as standard. Stepping inside, very easy to do, and this is behind my own seat at 6 feet tall. Good amount of knee room. Foot pockets are big to slide my feet under. I wish the back of the seat wasn't hard plastic, but at least this is leather. Thigh support is pretty darn good. Headroom, I have a bit of an issue because if my head is fully upright, then it's pressed against the roof. But if I kind of relax, then I'm okay. So I'm gonna give it a, no, not really. We have two air vents here, one DC outlet, one USB-C port. Why not two? Interesting. Larger drive shaft hump means that it's kind of tough to get into the middle seat, and then I definitely don't clear, especially with the drop down to that second sunroof. We have a center armrest that comes down, well padded, two cup holders. So I'm gonna say in the back seats, headroom can be tight for taller folks, and I wish we had one more USB port. Let's look at the front. Assuring thud to that door close. Up front now, we have heated and ventilated chairs with two-position memory and power adjustments. You get some carpeted floor mats with V badges on them. Aluminum plating for the pedals. Yes, we have 1, 2, 3 of them in this one. And then we have aluminum plating for this tread plate. Doors have the same materials as the second row. 4 one-touch windows here, power adjusting and power folding door mirrors. Your trunk release button is there. And inside, we find 12 cubic feet of space, and you can expand it by split folding the rear seat 60/40. Little handle to close the trunk, and don't mind the rattling and falling license plate cover. Hopping in. When you close up the door, you get a little animation on the infotainment and gauge cluster. Pretty neat. Put it in an accessory mode. So you can see the digital instrument cluster that is standard. You get a head-up display, stitched injection molding up here on the dashboard, and then more gloss carbon fiber on the passenger side. A 10-inch touchscreen infotainment, which is extremely responsive and has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Below that, we get a physical volume knob and physical selector. They do look a bit tacked onto the dashboard, but also the selector is so close to the touchscreen that it's not really adding convenience. Why not put it down here? Anyway, we have your air vents, HVAC controls, seat heat and ventilation settings, wireless smartphone charging pad, lots of nice gloss carbon fiber in here. As I mentioned, with the 3 pedals, we get the 6-speed manual as standard. You can choose the automatic. You get a 3D printed medallion up top, and then a slot for your key with a V badge, 2 cup holders, padded armrest in here. Inside you find 2 USB ports, 1A, 1C, and a DC outlet. The steering wheel, leather wrapped with a carbon fiber down here, along with your V button and performance traction management. Leather cover for the airbag is very nice. The thickness is just right for my hands. You get the red center marker. Visibility in the cabin is good. There is a bit of a blind spot at the C-pillar, but there's standard blind spot monitoring. The cabin, well equipped, especially for the front passengers, comfortable, lots of nice gloss carbon fiber, but really we're here for the drive, so let's go do that. All right, let's fire it up. It's a good noise, huh? So the first thing you're probably wondering is, why are there Toyo Proxy R888s on a press vehicle? And the answer is, this is not a press vehicle. This is an owned car. Jay Photoglou, who works at Suburban Cadillac of Costa Mesa, doesn't just have one Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing, he has 2. And he's letting me drive one of them, so very kind of him. And if you're at all interested in getting one of these cars, you're going to want to talk to Jay. I'll put his contact info in the video description. To start out in the CT5-V Blackwing, we're going to be in Tour drive mode. Very casual. And then we'll push it over to the right and up to go into reverse, bringing up a high-resolution backup camera. Lots of different angles to choose from. And we'll back on out of here. I think one of my favorite parts about Jay is not just that he has 2 Blackwings, but that he got the second one so he could bring his friends to the track. We don't deserve a friend like that. Let's talk powertrain. 6.2 liter supercharged V8. It makes 668 horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque. All of that power is distributed through a 6-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic gearbox to just the rear wheels. Here in Tour mode, accessing that power couldn't be much easier. It's super smooth on the throttle tip in. This gearbox is very precise, easy to row. You know when you're engaging a gear. We do not have rev match turned on, but I can press this button here and we see that the number 1 of the gear illuminates yellow. Now it's turned on so that when I downshift, it's going to blip the throttle for me to smooth the transition. I'll show you a demonstration of that. So I'm just going to clutch in and go into second. It blipped the throttle. I can do that again for first. Blips it one more time. And it eases that process. And this is a great feature for around town if you don't want to be doing the heel toe downshifts. And frankly, if you're not really hard on the brake, the rolling over of your foot to blip the throttle is harder to do. So having rev match is a great feature just to make it comfy with your 6-speed manual option. Now as standard, the Blackwing comes equipped with GM's magnetic ride control. And as I've experienced it on other GM products, it is just one of the most sophisticated suspension damping systems on the market. It's so good at keeping the ride comfortable, and then the variability to when it can work its way up to really stiff damping for high performance settings. It's such a great asset, and I love that you don't have to check a box for it. It's just here as standard on the Blackwing. So for example, this part of the road under construction, craggy, potholes, uneven, and I feel like none of it. You can hear a little bit of the bumps, but you stay so at ease. I love magnetic ride control. Let's do sport drive mode now, which is going to open the baffles and the exhaust. It's going to improve the throttle response, add a bit of weight to the steering, And as we get on the highway now, I can uncork a bit of the chaos. For the 2-3 shift, I use the no lift shift feature. I just pin my foot to the throttle while shifting the gear, engaging the clutch. I didn't have to release it all. And so the shifts are just quick. You can just feel the squat of the car down on the tires. And, you know, we have the traction management system going, but also these Toyo R888s have just unbelievable grip, and the wider section at the rear. The roll-on is so smooth. The soundtrack is awesome. And it feels so incredibly stable. And I know that's not just the tires, because I've driven this vehicle on the standard rubber, and it just has incredible grip, incredible stability. I've lifted there because I'm just so used to it. What a car. I'm still doing the rev match downshifts myself. You really do have to kind of hardwire your brain not to lift your foot off the throttle if you're so used to driving a manual. But if you can get it to do that, it's so very rewarding. And I missed this car. Yes, I have reviewed it before, twice in fact. But I needed another chance to get behind the wheel for a couple reasons, one of which I will share a bit later in the video. But one is just I remember it being so driver focused, so dialed into the wants and needs of someone who just enjoys driving vehicles. And that's what the team who engineered this car wanted. They wanted to offer the manual gearbox. They wanted to put their very best performance traction management system that you get out of the C8 Corvette here on the Blackwing. They wanted to put the most ridiculous powertrain they'd ever developed, the most ridiculous internal combustion powertrain they'd ever developed in a sedan. So we got it all. And that development shines through so clearly when you dip into the power of this thing. But even at low speeds, that's the crazy part. I mean, what you're hearing right now is a lot of tire hum from the 888s that you wouldn't get as normal. And it's because some of these high performance vehicles only really give you that pleasure of drive when you're getting close to their performance limits that makes me typically want to just say, hey, give me that slow car and I'll drive the heck out of it and have more fun that way. But the Blackwing is not that. It's enjoyable at more modest speeds, and then becomes super fun also at higher speeds. And I will show more of this car's performance in a minute. Corners, acceleration, all that good stuff. But for right now, I'm gonna go into my mode, and let's just have a fireside chat about what Cadillac's got going on right now, because this is the end of the internal combustion era. And yet I just drove the first of their electrification era in terms of that lyric, and I don't get how they're doing so well with both. I get this, right? They've 20 years since the introduction of the CT5-V to refine the portfolio, work on the chassis, work on the engine, and obviously this has a different engine than that, but like just work on all those pieces to make this the penultimate internal combustion Cadillac sedan. But for their first electrified product to be so good, and if you haven't seen that review, go watch it. I was just really impressed. It speaks to the breadth of the engineering skill at Cadillac right now. And this is not true for all of GM's products, but for Cadillac, they're kind of killing it right now. And it's seeing that from this brand that's playing into a potential decision I'm going to make that I keep teasing, and I will tell you about in probably 2 minutes. But before we do that, let's go into track drive mode. Put the traction management system into sport, and then have some fun with something. I am, of course, talking about launch control. So I've got all those settings set up, and the way you do it in the Blackwing is just to hold in the clutch and then pin the throttle. It'll build up revs, you dump the clutch, and you get going. I've got the race box going on here, so we're waiting for our light and to release. Here goes. That really struggled for traction, 4.5 seconds. Really struggled. And then there was a weird little hiccup after I got into second gear. It like hesitated, and then it went. Very peculiar. And you'd think the R888s would give us enough grip for a really good launch, but still, they didn't have it in them. Didn't mean it wasn't fun, it just wasn't that fast. Gosh, those carbon ceramics feel great. The steering is excellent. Now we're talking about the grip from the 888s. Felt so balanced through that corner, and I did get a little early on the throttle there to wheel the rear end. Extremely neutral. The steering had a lot of feedback. The 888s, just immense grip, of course. But the suspension, the inherent suspension in the CT5-V Blackwing is so well sorted. I understand why Jay has 2 of these for the track. I want to take this on a track again. I had that little go in the Blackwing before, but I want to do it again. And then with a few quick settings, you're back into comfort cruising. Didn't mention the seats. These feel excellent. And there are 2 different seat styles in the CT5-V Blackwing. If you want more support, you can get the carbon-backed buckets. So, let's talk about pricing and competition, and let's now get to what I kept teasing, which is that I'm considering buying a CT5-V Blackwing. If you watched my Charger Hellcat review, and the Scat Pack review, you saw that I was considering buying one of those vehicles. And so I'm really, when I'm talking about pricing and competition for this one, I'm really just thinking competition for myself right now between one of these, which starts at just under $85,000. This one with the carbon ceramics and the Ultra View roof is about 97 grand. Between one of these and a Charger Hellcat red-eye wide body, because why not? And I may even consider the jailbreak. We're putting it out there. Fuel economy, I did not mention for this car before I get into the specs, is 13 in the city, 21 on the highway, and 15 combined. Top speed is 205 miles per hour. The Charger Hellcat red-eye wide body starts also at about $85,000. It makes 797 horsepower. It gets to 60 in 3.5 seconds in theory, and that's also the in theory 0 to 60 for this car. The top speed is 203 miles per hour. And I think the fuel economy, I can't remember. It's probably worse, or at least as bad as this. Which should I choose, my friends? The things attracting me to the Blackwing are the manual gearbox, and not just having a manual gearbox, but having a Tremex 6-speed that's so good. The styling that's more on the subtle side, though honestly, if I bought a Blackwing, I'd probably go for that electric blue color. And I want to say just a better built and more luxurious cabin. But the things that attract me to the red-eye are the bodaciousness of the car, that supercharger whine, which, yeah, this car's supercharged too, but you can't really hear the whine. In that car, it's so pronounced. It's so part of that car's character. And that it's kind of just like a real, honest-to-goodness, traditional muscle car, that thing. So I go back and forth. I can't really decide, but I need your help. Comment below, let me know. Should I get this? Or should I get the Charger Hellcat red eye wide body? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this POV drive review. Check Jay out if you're interested in one of these. And if you did like this video, please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified. And I'll see you next time.